Peace, love, and lights. I want to say that I want to talk about slaves and slavery. This is a rare topic for me to talk about because I don't really like talking about slaves and slavery because it's just something I don't agree with talking about. I just feel like we use that as like a crutch to not be able to do things that we're literally capable of doing. But I'm going to make it an exception here because it's something important that I want to share because it's something important that I learned. And I want to give credit to Jake Taylor Jacobs because this is a concept that I originally learned from him, or rather, while reading his book about private banking. And that was that money is made out of cotton. And money is connected to the presidents or the founding fathers of this country. And what I learned while I was reading it was that, for one, the dollars are not just the people's faces that, founded this this country, well, technically it's a company as well, but this country, they weren't just that, they were more than that. For instance, you have George Washington, who's on the $1 bill, who is the first president of this country. Excuse me. And on the $1 bill, you have a lot of sacred geometry. You have I don't know if you can necessarily call it sacred geometry, but I will say that it's a lot of hidden messages on the back of a dollar. Like you have the all-seeing eye, you have all kinds of symbolism. I haven't looked at a dollar in a while, but that's not the point of the video. But I want to say that those symbols represent you, and it tells you the story of how you're divided. Like it tells you the story of the eye, and then it also tells you the story of the eagle. The eagle actually represents you as well, but the all-seeing eye represents you too. But these things are split, but together they create oneness, or one, which is you, because you are literally the money, you are the currency. But then you also have the $5 bill, who is Lincoln, who freed the slaves. There's irony in this story, or in what I'm getting ready to tell you, but you have to pay attention to it. He freed the slaves, but remember, the money is made out of cotton. Think about this. And then you have the $10 bill, which is Alexander Hamilton. He's one of the founding fathers. He was never president, but he's one of the founding fathers, and he played a very important role in the creation of this country. And then you have I forgot just that quick. Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill. Andrew Jackson is a symbol of the irony that I want to talk about. One of the symbols of irony. Because he literally went against the banking institution. He was so against it that he thought he defeated it before he died. But his face is on the $20 bill, and it's been on the $20 bill for years. And then you have Grant, who is, I can't remember what he did, and I was going to research it before I did this video, but I can't remember what he did. But I think that has something to do with like land grants, which has to do with manifest destiny, but I'm not sure. I have to look him up, and I may end up doing like a second part of this video, but I didn't look him up before I did this video, which I apologize for. But yeah, it has some symbolism behind that as well. And then you have Benjamin Franklin, who is on the $100 bill. Benjamin Franklin is one of the reasons that the United States is as big as it is, because the United States, or the United States of America, does not exist outside of Washington, D.C. What extends the power of the United States is the postal code and the zip codes. But that's what Benjamin Franklin was. Benjamin Franklin was a postman, and he basically is the reason why the United States has jurisdiction over so many things, because it extended the power of the United States beyond DC. But the question that a lot of people have is, did the founding fathers have slaves? My answer is yes, and they still exist. The reason why the slaves still exist and they were never truly freed is because they are literally working and still picking cotton. The cotton that they are picking is money. The green dollars that we seek when we work are basically us picking cotton rather than bartering or creating our own currency. We are dependent on this cotton to live. And since we are dependent on this cotton to live, the power of the United States is still present. And one of the things that has been in my mind for a while to say, because it was said around the time that I was learning this information, but it made so much sense, that you never truly die until the last time your name is uttered. And the reason why the United States is still alive, and the reason why the founding fathers are still present in our lives, is because we've never let go of the money. We still believe in the money, thus believing in the founding fathers, thus believing in America, or rather the United States of America, because America is totally different from the United States. That's public and private. But that's why the United States of America is still a powerful country, is because we still believe in the currency and we're too afraid to let it go. And that's why it has power over much of the world, because people still believe in the dollar. And the true war, or the true way to really destroy the United States, is to stop believing in the money, to stop using the money in the way that we use it. And people aren't ready for that, because one of the things that a lot of people, especially like in like the conscious movement, I don't know about the New Age conscious movement, but back in the day when I first got into this conscious movement that we supposedly have, is that they don't want a cashless society because they think that the government is going to use it to control them. But the government is using that to manipulate them. The government doesn't want us to be in a cashless society, because that takes away the power of the government. One of the biggest powers of the government is the money. So why would they take away the power of the money, or take away the money and allow us to be in a cashless society? Because that doesn't help us. Or rather, it doesn't help them. Because once we have an understanding of a cashless society, which we have now with Bitcoin, and there's a lot of money and energy going towards Bitcoin, you have a opportunity for us to be a cashless society, and for things to really change, and the United States maybe to lose its power, because people are putting their faith in Bitcoin and different coins like Ethereum and things like that. But it helps to destroy the dollar, because people are not putting as much faith in it. They're using something neutral such as Bitcoin, and it's becoming very popular. But that's one of the ways that the United States still has control over the people. And that's why you still have slaves, because people are still working hard for that money, or rather working in the field. What are the fields? Medical, you have law, you have government, you have industrial, you have engineering, You have all these different fields, but we still think that being in the field is a play on working outside in the heat. That's not the only way that field is used to connect to the idea of slaves, because then you have the idea of the house Negro, where someone is working in the house and they're not in the field doing all the hard work. You still have that to this day. Like for me, my goal is to be mostly at home or somewhere where I'm comfortable doing whatever it is I do to circulate currency. And that's not to be out in somebody's job forever, working, making their company money, rather than making me money that will circulate back into things that I want to do and to make my dreams and things come true. That's not the goal of my life. The goal of my life is to make sure that I'm comfortable as I can be, and as happy as I can be by doing whatever it is that I actually want to do that benefits me and also other people, but not to be working at a job to make someone else's dream come true or make them richer, where I'm only getting pennies of what they are getting. And that's not in the sense of competition, that's just in the sense of common sense. Why would you spend your entire life working for somebody else and you literally get pennies while they get trillions? It doesn't make sense, does it? But that's the goal that I'm trying to make sure that I accomplish. And not even trying, because I am accomplishing it by studying the things that I'm supposed to study and putting in the action to get to where I want to be. And this is something that I was thinking about as I was coming up with this information, was that people are looking to like guns and different militant actions to fight the government in case like some type of war breaks out, but that's never gonna win. And I'm gonna tell you why it's never gonna win. Is because, for one, they put more money into military defense than you could even imagine. You may look at the number and think that just because you can pronounce it, you understand the number. But if someone is putting this much money into defense to learn different ways to use weapons, you buying a gun and learning to shoot it and having it with you when you go out in the streets or whatever, that's not going to help you if they really wanted to fight you and use their weapons against you. In fact, you can't even fathom the level of weaponry that they have at this present time. Yet you think that you having a gun or you shooting a gun is actually doing something to them. It's really not. Of course, you have the right to do so, but it's really not gonna do much to them, because they literally have weapons that are beyond most people's conception. And for instance, the money itself is a weapon. They're using it to control you, and you think that you are in control of them. Now, this may not be as applicable now, because a lot of people are getting into Bitcoin and all these kind of things, and that gives them a little bit more power to do certain things, but they still essentially have control over your life in certain ways if you haven't taken actions to get out of their system, which you can get out of the system. Like, it's not fully something that you can't get out of, but and it's not in the sense of you should fear them, because you shouldn't fear them, because at the end of the day, it is really a reflection of yourself. But the way you approach them is not to approach them with guns. You approach them with integrity. You approach them with and understanding that they are connected to you, and they literally have no control over you unless you give it to them. If anybody has been in this conscious movement and they've ever done any type of paperwork, you understand that you literally have to tell them certain things for them to know it. They don't know as much as you think they know. And even to my point earlier, I will say this: even though they may put up the number that they put this amount of money into weaponry or defense or whatever, that number may be made up. Who knows? I can't say that that's true, but considering that a lot of this world is make believe anyway, a lot of this world is an illusion anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if that number is just made up, and it's just something that make them look cool. But I can't remember what I was talking about before that. But hold on. But you approach them with the idea that they don't have control over you and they're nothing to fear. You approach them like you would another business person or another person that you see in the street, but they look different from you. Their body is kind of separate, and they have to do different things to give the appearance of oneness, whereas you are a full body and you're approaching them as a full person, a full natural person, but they are a corporation, which is a dead body. And you're literally talking to a dead body when you're talking to them, meaning that you have to talk to it in a certain way that it can understand